brand new 4K TVs, there's not a bad seat in the house. And every game is on at Tin Lizzy, where you can bet on Major League Baseball, the NBA, the NHL, and UFC. BetMGM Sportsbook at Tin Lizzy, the king of sportsbooks. What game are you betting on? Make your play at Tin Lizzy, Main Street, Deadwood.
Springtime is also known as the start of grilling season, and when you're grilling big, juicy burgers and mouth-watering hot dogs, only one bun will do. With state-of-the-art facilities throughout the Midwest, Village Hearth offers a variety of delicious buns that are delivered fresh daily to your local grocer. So whether you like unsliced old-fashioned hamburger and hot dog buns or prefer classic white or wheat, just look for the familiar red Village Hearth logo on the package and you've made the right choice. Village Hearth buns, locally baked and delivered fresh daily.
For nearly 100 years, Connex has been providing the know-how and materials to help their neighbors grow. Through partnerships with builders, homeowners, and contractors, Connect Home Centers have impacted our communities, making them stronger and safer through support of local organizations and neighborhood beautification projects. Improving the quality of life for others is important to us. We are Connect Home Center, your hometown lumberyard lending a helping hand in building our communities since 1928.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
We are Fox Sports!
And here's what you need to know.
Grizzlies guard Ja Morant remains a game-time decision for their Game 2 matchup against the Lakers. Tip-off coming up 7:30 Eastern time tonight as Morant is dealing with a right hand injury. Bucks forward Giannis Antetokounmpo dealing with a back contusion. He was upgraded to questionable for tonight's Game 2 against Miami earlier today. They'll tip off from Milwaukee at 9 o'clock Eastern time. T-Wolves and Nuggets play their Game 2 in Denver at 10 o'clock Eastern. In Major League Baseball, New York Mets pitcher Max Scherzer tossed in the fourth inning of today's game after a sticky substance was found on his glove as they take on the Dodgers. Right now it's 5-3 Mets in the bottom of the ninth inning in L.A. Some finals from earlier. Cardinals outscored the Diamondbacks 14-5. Rangers sweep the Royals 12-3, while the Rays won in Cincinnati 8-0. Tiger Woods underwent surgery on his ankle. No timetable for his return to action. I'm Dan Beyer.
It's time for South Dakota's Sports Talk Show. This is the Nate Brown Show, featuring live callers, live interviews, and thought-provoking sports talk. From the biggest national names to the hottest local stories. Welcome to the Nate Brown Show on Fox Sports Rapid City. Here's your host, Nate Brown.
All right, welcome in on a beautiful Wednesday. It's always a great day in the Black Hills. We're back and ready. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live on 106.7 FM, 1150 AM, and stream us at foxsportsrapidcity.com, the Black Hills Sports Station. Welcome in, South Dakota Sports Talk Show, the Nate Brown Show. Also on Twitter, at Nate Brown Show. You can watch us live on Twitter, at Nate Brown Show, and our YouTube channel. Can you get us over 100 subscribers? Let's go. Can you get us there? We're almost there. I mean, that would just be a milestone. I don't know what I'd do with myself, but you can help us, okay? Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'd appreciate that. You can watch us right now at The Nate Brown Show on YouTube. The Nate Brown Show on YouTube, all right? So a lot of ways you can get us. We are brought to you in part by the Rehab Doctors. When it comes to pain relief without surgery, that's the expert team in Rapid City since 1997. They're the official sports medicine physicians of the Rapid City Rush. They keep them on the ice. How about the Rehab Doctors keeping you in the game? For pain relief without surgery, see the Rehab Doctors treating back pain, neck pain, muscle pain. Okay, therehabdoctors.com. Take your first step to feeling better. therehabdoctors.com. No referral necessary. You have a choice for your medical care, and the Rehab Doctors remind you, visit them online, therehabdoctors.com. Here we are on a Wednesday. I said, beautiful Wednesday. How about the lineup? Looks good to me. We'll have some great guests across the board. We'll get into a lot of stuff today, local, regional, national. We got you covered on Fox Sports Rapid City. Look at the guest lineup so you know who's on the way. Doug Gottlieb's going to join us tonight, talking some hoops. We always got to get Doug, man. This time of year, we do it a lot in March and April. As much as we can to get Doug Gottlieb. He has a great show on Fox Sports Radio starting at 1 o'clock, right? 1 to 3. And Doug sometimes says, yeah, I'll hop on Rapid City. He loves the Black Hills. We're trying to get Doug up here to the Mount Rushmore. We got to get him to the Mount Rushmore. Doug said, hey, I want to visit, so we're going to put this in place. He'll probably remind me again. Let's get to Hoops Talk with Doug Gottlieb, Fox Sports Radio, great basketball analyst straight ahead. Frank Schwab's on the way, NFL writer for Yahoo Sports. There is news out tonight, kinda. I guess speculation, I would say. I don't want to say news. Speculation. It's that time of year. With the draft coming up next week, the Minnesota Vikings are rumored to be talking to a team about a trade. And I'm going to get into this with Matthew Collar, PurpleInsider.com, Vikings writer from the Twin Cities. Matthew Collar will break things down. We'll get into the Vikings situation. Also, Craig Maddox on today. East River meets West River on a Wednesday. Let's do the weekly segment with Craig and Gary Sharp on tap tonight from Omaha, 1620 The Zone. Covers the Huskers. Gary Sharp on the way. There's a big article out about this new rivalry. Oh, is there going to be a new rivalry? Maybe it's a little blown up. I don't know. We'll see. And what the Husker coach said today, Matt Rule. He's kind of getting some comments from people saying, now, what's Matt Rule talking about here with the Husker approach? We'll get into that. Gary Sharp, 1620 The Zone. So we're packed tonight. Gottlieb, Craig Maddock, all the guys coming along. Thanks for coming along the ride this Wednesday. We'll get after it. Thought-provoking sports talk, 4 to 6. We're live. Welcome in on the studio line if you want to join the show. 720-1067. You're always welcome. Rapid City's call-in show. We'll get you on and shoot it around a little bit. Also on the Barron's Wilson text line. Great way to be a part of the program. If you can't call, you're in your office. You don't want to let people know you're calling the Nate Brown Show for crying out loud. Okay, you can text us. Direct text us. 720-1067. It's the Barron's Wilson text line. So now you're set and ready. Okay, I'm going to start the show today. Couple of topics here in South Dakota that interest me, and a couple of high school topics, okay? One is kind of the story that takes on a new life in certain ways because you hear different perspectives on it. I have a perspective on it. Maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. That's okay. I mean, we can disagree these days, can't we, without getting so angry? Maybe. So, there's different perspectives I want to get on this topic. And I got one yesterday on the show. But some of you can't listen to all the show. You don't hear all the guests. So I wanted to start my show with this situation and with this perspective saying, is this a legitimate thought of why we may not have this in South Dakota high school sports? And so I'm going to dig into that. I'm going to start the show with that. And then there's another topic here close by on the high school front up there in Hill City. Hill City making the Nate Brown Show to start today, and I'm going to get to that topic coming up. First, yesterday I had on Steve Steele in Pierre. Steve Steele, 5-time state champion. The Pierre Governors football team has been dominant, right? They don't play in the biggest class anymore. They play 11AA, and boy, they've just dominated the scene. And so the Pierre Governors, just a great program. I've had Coach Steele on this show quite a bit, actually. Like talking to him about high school football and all sorts of stuff. So this is interesting. My perspective on high school South Dakota name, image, and likeness sponsorships are that I think we could make it work. I don't think it's going to be crazy, over the top, just thousands of dollars pouring in. We are in South Dakota. High school sports is a big thing, but we are in South Dakota. It's not going to be thousands and thousands of dollars from sponsors that are trying to manipulate the outcome of this team or this game. That's my perspective. Now, here's the perspective that was brought in yesterday. This is all centering on, will South Dakota take a step in the future? They had it on the list last week to talk about name, image, and likeness for high schoolers. They took it off. And Steve Steele in Pierre is not a fan. He is not a fan of name, image, and likeness, at least right now on the surface. And his perspective, he told me here yesterday, I want to expand on this, and I'll make it into my question of the day, see what you think on, are two perspectives. And there's probably more, but mine is, I don't think it's going to be a massive deal. I don't think it's going to manipulate outcomes of teams and games and and poison the high school landscape. I don't think it is. I think there's good things that can come out of it for high school kids that have athletic prowess, that have athletic fame and kind of a brand, and you could learn some business things, some marketing things, some promotional things along the way. That's my perspective on high school name, image, and likeness. Steve Steele yesterday said his worry is what? If we have name, image, and likeness opportunities for high school kids, he's worried that some of the big programs, some of the big schools in some of the big cities, like, for example, I said Sioux Falls. I didn't throw Rapid City into the mix. I don't want to put us in that category yet. But let's just say Sioux Falls. We like blaming Sioux Falls. He said, what if a business or some booster in the big program in the big city wanted to get the best players to their program? And they had this opportunity. Hey, we're not going to put it out front, but we're going to work deals behind the scenes like they do in college. And then we get the best players to actually transfer to a Sioux Falls school. And we get the best players to have a, whatever you want to say, an all-star team made up of some NIL opportunities. And he actually was worried about that, saying high school sports programs, and he said there's enough pressure and enough interest and enough passion that he believes some of the big programs in the big cities may say, hey, we've got a few boosters. Maybe we should make this work. Could we put together some name, image, and likeness dollars to attract some high school football players? That's just my example, and I threw it out yesterday with Coach Steele and Pierre. I said, so Lincoln Kienholz, one of the high-profile kids you've ever seen in this state, from a high school football standpoint, he's going to Ohio State. Okay, that doesn't happen every day in South Dakota. Lincoln Kienholz, I said, your quarterback in Pierre, hypothetical, you think he could have gotten name, image, and likeness? Would you worry about a Sioux Falls program saying, hey, we could get Lincoln Kienholz to transfer in here and put him on our team and that whole thing? And he said, well, it could have happened, essentially. He said that's the worry. There's some positives, he said, but there's some worries and concerns. Now, here's the question of the day as I start. I'm not going to say that nobody will care enough to do something like that. There could be some small situations that say, a few $100, would that get a kid to transfer from a school to another one? Maybe in a town like Sioux Falls or even, let's say, Rapid City in high school sports? I guess maybe, but I'm not seeing it. I'm really not seeing it. I've been around high school sports a long time here in the state. I know things are changing along the way, and that's where I say there is passion. There is boosters that want their high school team to do this, and they have a vested interest, right? There is that passion. If you don't know that, you should. I mean, there are people that care deeply about how their kids are doing and how their kids' team is doing, okay? If you don't know that, you should. But my point is, I don't think high school NIL opens up the floodgates. I feel like the perspective on it is, if they did it in South Dakota, they would just open up the floodgates and you'd see certain deals and potentially some great athletes, some of the top-tier kids that might be in a smaller town or a mid-tier program. Hey, could we get them come to our school? We give them a little name, image, and likeness from, we have the resources in Sioux Falls, for example. That's what Steve Steele says he's worried about. I've got two legitimate things I want to say because why I'm not worried about it, so to speak. One is I look at other examples around the country. So I had a writer on who covers name, image, and likeness in college and high school. He did a big story on this last week for On3.com. And he looked at some big states, some big markets, like Tennessee, for example. You got major players there. Memphis, okay, Nashville, Knoxville. I mean, you got some major players. You want to talk about big cities. I know Sioux Falls, they think they're, Minneapolis, but not quite, okay? Memphis, Nashville, Knoxville. Tennessee, the state, has name, image, and likeness for high school kids. Right now, in the first year of it, there has not been the floodgates of man, this is out of control. We got deals being offered to guys that are transferring from this program to this one in Memphis. You want to talk about a high school basketball scene? Have you heard about Memphis? They got a major basketball scene down there from an AAU side and the high school side. I mean, a major basketball city. And so there hasn't been a big, oh man, this controversial deal here, NIL, is getting players to think about transferring from high school to high school because there's some dollars coming on the backside. That's where you could legitimately worry about it. In a place like that where big dollars in the future are on the line. So you think about, hey, you want to talk about having kids make decisions based on NIL, you would think it would happen in some of the big states that are doing it. There's 25 states that are doing it. And the overall, I know it's not set in stone, but the anecdotal evidence is saying it's not really that out of control in high school. It's just not really that out of control. So would that happen in South Dakota? I doubt it. And my other point on this, why I don't think it's a man, this is going to be a bad thing. We're going to have kids transfer from this town to that town, and it's could be a bad deal. There are rules that were going to be in place pretty strict, based on the recruiting side of this, based on all sorts of stuff with NIL in South Dakota. The Activities Association, when they brought this up last week, they had specific rules that said you can't do this, this, this. Okay, I mean, the list goes on. I don't go over that on a radio show, but you could see it in the minutes. And so you could see the proposal. There was very strict guidelines with name, image, and likeness for high school kids here in the state. That, I think, will curb some of the, well, it's going to be a free-for-all like college. No, college turned into a free-for-all because the NCAA did not enforce anything. Okay, so there's a couple of things that I don't think it's going to be crazy in South Dakota. I don't think people would transfer from one town to the next because they got a $5,000 NIL deal. Am I wrong? Steve Steele, the Pier head football coach, says he's worried about that. I'm going to ask you if you're worried about it, so let's start it up on a question of the day on the Nate Brown Show. Question of the day, here it is. Do you believe high school NIL in South Dakota would lead to the big programs recruiting the best athletes with some dollars? Do you believe that the big programs would recruit the best athletes with dollars? That's what I want to know, okay? Oh, we lost him. All right. Let me know your answer. 720-1067 on the Nate Brown Show, 720-1067. I'm interested because I like perspectives. I like different thoughts here on this. I don't think it's going to be out of control. There would be rules in place, and it's South Dakota. We're not even Tennessee as far as the money involved and some of that stuff, okay? I don't think that would be the case in high school NIL. Steve Steele and Pierce said he's worried it would be. Thanks for calling. You're live today, and you go ahead.
So who do we have we could give money to?
You tell me. Lincoln Kienholz, there's an example. Ohio State quarterback.
Okay. Let's back up a little bit. Playing Spearfish and playing Michigan are two different things. The only thing he's got, and he's got to work at it. Come on. How many 5 stars do Ohio State have at quarterback?
Well, they got a lot.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So a kid from Pierre that's toughest competition are little schools they kill. That's a big one, so let's just wait on that one. Honestly, no, come on. Let's realistically, okay? Not here to hurt anyone's feelings.
Sure. Okay.
The only one that I've seen in this state that should be getting paid is that heavyweight from Brandon Valley.
Oh. Now.
4-time state champion. Last year he was hurt. I don't know if he made All-State, but he's been an All-State lineman. I mean, he's going or college football.
Okay. But are we worried that a school could say, hey, we're going to pay this kid a deal to get him to come over to Harrisburg? Are we worried about that?
Well, if we were going to worry about it, we should have went back to about I'm thinking 1930s, maybe the 40s.
What? Okay, what are you getting at?
You got Gary Sharp coming on.
Yes.
Okay, about 10 years ago, Omaha North ran about 4 straight state championships in track and field. All right, they had kids from Omaha Central. They had kids from Omaha South. They had kids that moved in for that track team.
Okay, you're saying you're saying the recruiting's happening anyway. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. And by the way, there's legitimacy to that. You are correct. You are correct.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
Have a great day, bud.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. That is correct. I mean, that is correct, guys. I asked Coach Steele yesterday, do you think coaches right now in South Dakota are recruiting anyway? Do you think coaches in South Dakota are recruiting to their schools anyway? He said, well, I think some of that goes on, but it's hard to prove and stuff like that. It absolutely has to go on. And so I think the name, image, and likeness gets everybody, oh man, this is going to be the end of the world. This is going to be the end of amateurism. The end of South Dakota high school sports. I do not believe so. 25 states are doing it. And an example in Tennessee, which they dug into pretty heavily, said there hasn't been any big deals. And all you'd get, I think, here in South Dakota is somebody to sponsor the ice cream shop or get a sandwich in your name. The Nate Brown Show sandwich. How about it? Anybody? Okay. I think that's all you're going to get. I think so. Listener text here. Maybe in the Sioux Falls area you might have it, but nowhere else in South Dakota would NIL be a problem. That's interesting. Would you have a competition in Sioux Falls? They have they're passionate out there. When it comes to high school sports, they're passionate. Jefferson's rolling. Roosevelt's trying to stay in the mix. O'Gorman. Washington, okay? Lincoln. You talk about some big schools and everybody's trying to be at the top. Would that happen out there? Maybe, but the difference, maybe a little bit, but I still don't think there's going to be a massive number of high school NIL deals with a huge dollar amount. I still don't believe that. I really don't. And I don't think they're going to go as far to, hey, we're going to get a kid to come from this town to this town, from Pierre to Sioux Falls. I don't see that. I don't see it. Let's see. What do you say? Let's go to the poll question. Do you believe high school NIL in South Dakota, the sponsorships, would lead to a big program recruiting deal where they get the best athletes to their school? Would that happen? I'm a little surprised by everybody here. 65% say yes, it would happen. The big programs would recruit with the NIL money and get the best high school athletes to their school. 65% of you say yes, it would happen. 35% say no, that's simply over the top. It would not happen in South Dakota high school sports. I don't think it would happen at the level people think. I just don't. People are transferring all the time, by the way. So, I mean, you got the transfer thing going on anyway. I mean, we got to worry about the transfer portal in youth basketball. I mean, it's unbelievable. Okay? Hang on. Listener text, NIL in South Dakota high school sports, it might be 10 students a year. Maybe. Might be 10 students a year. That's probably, I'll give you that. Kind of the, hey, there's this player. You know, there's not too many high-profile high school kids. I bring up Lincoln Kienholz because in Pierre, it's probably a pretty big deal. Just my guess, okay? Pierre's like a massive high school sports town. Really passionate fans. I do love that side of that. Really good fans there. Lincoln Kienholz probably get a couple of deals in Pierre, but I don't see him getting a deal from a Sioux Falls car dealership. Am I out to lunch? I don't think so. But it's interesting, right? Let's get into this other high school story coming up. There's a story out of Hill City. This is interesting today, and I think there's a deeper context to it. Hill City was looking at a new sport, and there's more to the story I want to get into, okay, up there in Hill City and what's going on. First, I'm going to go to Doug Gottlieb, Fox Sports Radio, talking hoops and more. One of my favorites, Doug Gottlieb, live next.
Live callers, big-time interviews, and breaking sports news. This is the Nate Brown Show on Fox Sports Rapid City.
The birds are singing. They know that spring is almost here, a time for renewal. Renewal by Andersen Windows, that is. It's almost spring, and if you've suffered through another winter in a cold, drafty house with worn-out old windows, now's the time to invest in the best windows you can get from Renewal by Andersen. Wouldn't it be great to let some fresh spring air in that house with windows that actually open smoothly, make your house quiet, secure, and save you a ton of money on energy bills? Please scan that QR code, visit RBARapidCity.com. Spring is a time for renewal by Andersen.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Overcast skies tonight with lows around 30. Northwest winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected again tomorrow. Chance for snow showers. Daytime highs approaching 43. Chance for snow showers tomorrow night 26. Chance for snow Friday with highs in the low 40s. A blend of clouds and sun Saturday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently, it's 55.
We're all going somewhere. Going higher, faster, farther. Going in new directions, to new places. At Monument Health, we keep going so you can keep going. We're dedicated to advanced orthopedic care with the latest innovations, technology, expertise, and treatment. So keep exploring, keep making memories, keep going with Monument Health as your partner. Learn more at monument.health/orthopedics.
At Black Hills Federal Credit Union, we are committed to improving the lives of our members and bettering our communities. As your community credit union, we're here to get to know you and your unique needs. From extended service hours to the newest technology, we have you covered. Stop by any location to get started or text or call 605-718-1818. BHFCU is member-owned, not-for-profit, and federally insured by the NCUA.
Get away from it all in the great outdoors for lasting family memories with a new or pre-owned RV from Dakota Discount RV. We make your RV experience fun and easy by providing you with a quality recreational vehicle, competitive pricing, and professional sales and service. Our large inventory of fifth-wheelers, travel trailers, toy haulers, and live-in horse trailers allows us to save our customers thousands of dollars compared to most dealers. Stop by and see us at Dakota Discount RV, 3330 East Mall Drive across from Cabela's and on JB Road, Blackhawk.
When it comes to protecting your home and your belongings, what works for your neighbor most likely won't work for you. Insurance is personal, and that's why the coverage specialists at Fisher Rounds & Associates work with you to tailor a policy that protects your family, home, auto, and other valuable possessions at the most reasonable cost possible. We sweat the small and the big stuff, so you don't have to. That's at your service, at your side. Fisher Rounds & Associates, with offices in Pierre, Mitchell, Rapid City, Sioux Falls, and Watertown.
Live from the Anytime Auto Sales Service and Details Studio, sales, service, and recreation, this is Fox Sports Rapid City.
Hey, welcome back in. South Dakota Sports Talk Show off and running on a Wednesday. The Nate Brown Show live on Fox Sports Rapid City. You're home for the Doug Gottlieb Show 1 to 3. You know that. 1 to 3 right here on Fox Sports Rapid City. And Doug, a little extra time tonight. Let's talk some hoops. Fox Sports Radio host Doug Gottlieb joins us live on South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Find him on Twitter at Gottlieb Show. Doug, good to have you, man. How are you?
I'm great. Dog's got his head out the window, 7 degrees and sunny. I'm going to pick up one of my daughters from school, and life's good, man. Getting ready for some hoop tonight.
Off and running. Okay, I like that. Hey, I got a quick question. My question of the day here in South Dakota is, if high school NIL came to fruition in South Dakota, we were looking at it, I asked my audience, what would that mean? So I'm going to go big league out there in California. You're in the youth basketball scene right now. What about the high school NIL opportunities? It's happening out there. Is it a big deal or not?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know where the money would come from. Do I think there's a league in LA called the Mission League. That's the one that Ronnie James played in.
Okay.
That it's probably the best high school basketball league in the country, one of two or three. And it's a bit of an arms race there. Sierra Canyon's kind of been boat raced by Harvard Westlake, by Notre Dame. Notre Dame has Dusty Stromer going to Gonzaga. They got a kid going to Duke who's really good, and then they have a recording artist's son, who's rapper's son. I'm blanking on for a second. Who's going to Houston in a year? He's only a junior. But I don't think any of those kids. I mean, like the real name, image, and likeness should absolutely. I have no problem with that. Like even in South Dakota, right? Like you play great, you win a state championship. Somebody wants to throw a party and have you come sign autographs for local folks, and you walk home with $500 in your pocket. Like that's cool.
Yeah.
But what college sports is just like, hey, how much are you going to pay me to come play there, and then figure out how you can. Who's going to pay for it? That's really what it is. And that part's kind of gross. And that's eventually what would probably happen in high school if it passes.
Okay. I got you on that. Doug Gottlieb on tonight. So let's go NBA. That's why I wanted you. I wanted to get your perspective. Draymond Green gets suspended. The stomp down. Where do you stand on this, suspending him for it? He got his leg grabbed. People are debating it. What side are you on?
I don't even think there's a foul on the play, right? Like, if you watch the replay, the succession of events where I thought Sabonis kind of flopped and then tried to grab Klay Thompson as he went down. And then because he went down, now all of a sudden he thought he was going to get stomped on, so he grabbed the foot of Draymond. And then, you grab your foot, you grab somebody's foot, and what do you think is going to happen, right? Like I'm trying to run down the court. I'm going to shake my leg or I'm going to stomp my leg. So I didn't think it. I mean, honestly, so much to do about nothing. And I understand, like the NBA, they're pissed because it's always Draymond. There's always something. And then, he gets the foul and then he's just riling up the crowd. And I think they're afraid of, some of the fan behavior stuff has been deplorable. And the fear is, you rile them up, somebody comes out of the stand, somebody's waiting for you after the game, all this other stuff. But I think we're kind of making a mockery of the whole thing. And by the way, it's probably the game plan of the Kings to try and get under his skin and get him thrown out. And so they've accomplished their goal. And do I think Draymond's a dumbass for riling up the crowd? Yeah, like this is not WWE, bro. On the other hand, I also don't think any of that is suspension worthy because it hurts kind of the integrity of who's actually the better team. And right now the Kings have been the better team through 2 games. By the way, that game was atrociously officiated in favor of the Kings. And what happens is you go like, oh, look at the even foul calls. You watch the film, I mean, they were brutally physical, cheap shots galore. I mean, it's a joke. So, personally, I like Mike Brown, but I think the way their team is playing is disgraceful in the cheap shots and the flopping and the antagonizing. And credit. I mean, Draymond Green's taking the bait a little bit, but I don't like it. It strikes at the core of what I wouldn't want if I was coaching it.
So Draymond Green's out for Game 3, and they say past instances is the problem here as well. Doug, do you buy that past behavior?
I believe that's why they did it. That doesn't make it right. I don't think that should be taken into account here.
I'm going to ask you.
I just don't. Like,
okay.
What are we doing? We're trying to decide who wins the championship.
Let me ask you: Are the Warriors in big
outside
trouble?
of punching somebody, just if you want to give him a technical, give him a technical. He shouldn't have got a technical the first one where he's falling back and Sabonis runs into him. Like, dude, just let it go. Bring him in, tell him to cut it out, let it go.
Are the Warriors in trouble now? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Are the Warriors in trouble now?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, that's a team that can really score, and now they don't have Draymond Green. I mean, look, he's not what he used to be, and I don't know if you totally need him to win this series. But man, you don't want to get down 3 games to none, so they better figure it out and figure it out fast.
Couple more. I'll let Doug Gottlieb run Fox Sports Radio talking NBA. So I watched the Suns last night. They were down again. They come back and win. How good do you think the Suns are with Durant there with Booker and Paul?
I think they're very good. I mean, obviously the question with them is going to be depth. You know, it's just the problem with them is going to be depth, and they're playing those guys a lot of minutes. And I don't know if you saw, there was a time there in the third quarter where KD, like, he wasn't even looking at the basket. He wasn't even looking at the basket. He was just like, you know, moving the ball around, almost like active rest while playing. So I think that's their biggest issue. You know, if the Clippers had all their guys, this would be not only a great series, but the Clippers are probably the best team in the West. But not having Paul George, I just don't think they have the weaponry. It causes Russell Westbrook to have to be a scorer. Last night he made shots, but the night before he was 3 of 19. Like, I think the Suns win. I wonder if it exhausts them because they're playing those big four so many minutes.
Okay, how about the Lakers, Doug, right out there in L.A.? Game 2 tonight. The Lakers look like they have a big advantage here over the Grizzlies with the injuries and the whole thing. Can the Lakers go on a run here?
I don't think they win tonight. You know, it's a pick-em game.
Really?
We don't know if Ja's going to play. But, remember, Rui was 11 of 14. And then, I love Austin Reeves. He's been awesome. But I don't know if he's that good, that dominant. And now they did get to rest LeBron. He didn't play huge minutes, but they kind of got to hide him defensively. And, I'll credit LeBron with letting other people shine and really not being involved a ton in the offense late. But I think part of that is by design because he just, he doesn't have it nearly as much as he used to. So if LeBron doesn't have it tonight, I think, and I'm guessing that he doesn't, I think Memphis wins. Memphis wins kind of handily regardless of Ja. I do have my questions about Memphis in a close game, and Memphis obviously losing, 2 of their bigs for the year is going to hurt them. But I got a hard time thinking the Lakers are going to, push their way through in the West when I've seen them against the top-level teams, and they haven't been consistently successful.
Speaking of Ja Morant, he got hurt in that first game. Are we done talking about banning the charge? That was discussed for 2 days.
So here's the real problem. It's not the charge. The real problem is the semicircle makes it, how in baseball, home plate umpire, you can't see ball or strike and then judge whether or not the guy went around the swing. Right? Your eyes don't work in 2 different dimensions. You're not a gecko. Well, same thing in basketball. So we got to judge whether or not a guy gets his feet outside the semicircle, but then you got to see, okay, did he get his feet set when, Ja starts to jump?
Right.
You can't see 2 things at once. It's impossible. So I do think that in that play, a little bit of it was Anthony Davis was late and kind of went under him. But part of it is also like Ja's got to be under better control. He's got to know better. And I would never, yes, I think there's no push to ban the charge in the NBA. I do think there can be some adjustments made so guys don't feel like they're getting undercut. But it's a huge part of the game, and I think it should be. When we were kids, they didn't have the charge in the NBA, but the game was so much more physical, guys didn't get a running start like that. If you take away the charge, I'm not sure how you play any defense at the rim when guys start going downhill.
Doug Gottlieb talking ball tonight on the Nate Brown Show. You heard him 1 to 3 live weekdays, Fox Sports Rapid City. That extra hour podcast, you got to love that as well. Doug, good to have you. Thanks for hopping on.
Anytime, Nate.
Appreciate it. Doug Gottlieb tonight, Fox Sports Radio national host, talking hoops on Twitter at Gottlieb Show. Listener text coming in. Doug didn't say he was going to visit the Black Hills that segment. Sometimes he keeps saying, am I coming to the Black Hills? We've been trying to set this up. I got a listener text coming in saying I already got a tour guide for him. I already have a tour guide set up for Doug Gottlieb to come to the Black Hills and visit. We better make that happen then. Good stuff. Doug Gottlieb talking hoops, NBA playoffs. Boy, if you haven't watched the NBA, I'll just say this, okay? I know some people say I can't watch the NBA regular season. It's slow play. It's bad defense. It's load management. All of that stuff. And I really believe that too. Now, I've watched a lot of NBA. I just watch a lot of hoops in general, college, NBA. Now, if you watch the NBA playoffs, the level is at another level. I mean, it's unbelievable. The Suns playing over the last 2 games, they were still playing regular season pace in game 1, and they got smoked. Then they were getting beat last night, regular season pace, and they had to, pick it up. It is night and day, the level of basketball play when it comes to NBA playoffs. So now you're talking big boy basketball, real basketball. I mean, it's a huge difference. So if you haven't watched the NBA this season, I would tell you, take a look now, because now they're playing basketball from my perspective. Some of the regular season, they're just trying to get through it. It's 82 games. All right, let's make sure we win 42 and make the playoffs. Now it's like, you better be rolling. You better be playing. It's now you see wow, so that's why they're in the NBA. Because they're 6'9" and they could fly, and so physical. Unbelievable. Okay, let's get to this. Listener text on high school NIL. High school NIL. I've asked you about this. Do you believe high school NIL sponsorships in South Dakota would lead to the big schools recruiting the best athletes to their program? Do you believe that would happen? I do not think that would be a floodgate. I do not think that would be a massive factor. There's always recruiting going on in my perspective right now as it is. Open enrollment, and there's kids going to this school and that school and this program anyway. I mean, we see it. So would NIL add to that? I think you're going to have minimal. It's minimal. I would rather give a kid an opportunity to get some marketing, business, promotional education and be able to use his athletic fame as, hey, I get to do a little marketing deal with this company. And when I say little, it's probably going to be little in South Dakota high school sports. I think it's a good thing for the most part. But 66% of you say it would happen. The high schools would recruit the best athletes to those big city programs like Sioux Falls. 66% say that would happen with NIL. 34% say no, it wouldn't happen. That's over the top. Listener text coming in. I got to get to this. Here's one. Listener text 720-1067, the Barron's Wilson text line for you. Could NIL help colleges recruit the best high school seniors? Could Nebraska use their NIL money to entice a South Dakota athlete to sign with them? Well, that is happening. And that's part of the issue with the colleges. Whether it's Nebraska or whoever you want to say, the colleges are saying they're doing pay to play. They're doing pay to play. It's not, hey, we want you to endorse this ice cream parlor like you would have in Pierre, okay? They're doing pay to play, the best of the best. Hey, we're going to set up some NIL deals for you, and they're going to be at this amount of money. Hey, you should come here. And that's not necessarily how this was designed. That's part of the issue. I don't think that would be a massive issue in South Dakota high school sports. I still don't. Okay. Listener text, Nate, NBA and NHL playoffs is a totally different beast. Holy smokes. Way, way better. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Craig Maddox in next on the Nate Brown Show on a Wednesday. East River meets West River. This should be a dandy. Craig Maddox on high school topics galore, live from Sioux Falls next.
Did you miss an interview or great segment on The Nate Brown Show? Just find The Nate Brown Show podcast and listen wherever you download your podcasts.
Head to Pumps Tire Service for huge savings on auto and light truck tires. Now through April 30th, get $70 instant savings on a set of 4 select Bridgestone tires. Get $60 instant savings on a set of 4 select Firestone tires. Increase your savings by $30 when you use your Pumps credit card. Plus, you can save an additional $20 off installation when you buy 4 select Bridgestone or Firestone tires. Hurry to Pumps. Offers end April 30th. Pumps. We know tires and service. You should know Pumps. Visit pumpstire.com. Subject to credit approval. See store for complete details.
All right, Rapid City, one of my favorite places is Pour 54 downtown. If you're looking for the best place to have a cold one with friends, maybe date night with your wife, or just go and watch the big game with some buddies in their great sports area upstairs, Pour 54 has it all. Plus 54 taps of beer from local and regional breweries, and it's self-serve. You don't have to wait around. You can get what you want right away. And the food's out of this world. I love the Detroit-style pan pizzas. Check out Pour 54. You'll love it. Downtown Main Street.
New Chevy trucks and SUVs are arriving daily at Denny Menho Rapid Chevrolet. Get big savings on select new 2023 Chevy Silverado 1500s with our exclusive Denny Menho $1,500 discount. Get 0% APR financing on any new 23 Silverado 1500. SUV buyers get financing as low as 1.9% APR on 23 Equinoxes. All credit applications accepted. Find new roads at Denny Menho Rapid Chevrolet or DennyMenhoRapidChevrolet.com. Length of finance, contracts are limited with qualified credit. Expires 4/30/23.
Hi.
Mom. We weren't expecting you.
Well, I'm just popping in to say hello to my daughter and her handsome hubby.
Mom, it's the 4th time this week you just popped in.
And it's only Tuesday.
Well, you shouldn't have gone to Renewal by Anderson and gotten those great custom-fitted windows and made it so darn comfy in here if you didn't want people popping in.
She brought luggage.
Mom, you brought your luggage.
Well, you don't expect me to be uncomfortable in my old place, do you?
You know, Mom, you could get replacement windows from Renewal by Anderson. You'll lower your bills, stay warm in the winter, and stay cool in the summer.
Yeah, and maybe stay home.
Excuse me?
Where we can visit you in your lovely house, which will be made so comfy with Renewal by Anderson windows.
Well, I guess I could.
Just visit the website here. You can use my laptop.
Oh, gee, thanks.
Glad to help.
But as long as I'm already here.
Oh, by all means, please stay for dinner, Mom.
Well, if you insist. Ew, salmon again?
Get over it.
Visit RBARapidCity.com today for a free consultation. Lower your heating and cooling bills with windows from Renewal by Anderson of Rapid City. RBARapidCity.com. Go for comfy.
Don't make a bad call the next time you need an attorney. The lawyers of Claiborne, Lowson, Sabers have been serving the legal needs of clients throughout the state for over 75 years. Serious legal issues like divorce, business disputes, personal injury, and criminal matters require a solid team. When you need a win, call Claiborne, Lowson, Sabers at 721-1517. Claiborne, Lowson, Sabers, proudly supporting our area's youth and sports teams in their pursuit of excellence.
Hi, it's Colin Coward. Great to be in the Black Hills. Getting the herd weekdays 10 to 1 on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM. Fox Sports.
Welcome back in South Dakota Sports Talk Show live weekdays 4 to 6. The Wednesday show. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live, 106.7 FM, 1150 AM. Stream us at foxsportsrapidcity.com. How was your day? Hopefully solid. Solid guest lineup. We started with Doug Gottlieb talking ball. Doug Gottlieb, Fox Sports Radio, great host. Love having him on the show in Rapid City. Good stuff. Frank Schwab's on the way, NFL writer for Yahoo Sports. Gary Sharp tonight from 1620 The Zone in Omaha. Matthew Collar tonight from Minneapolis. Vikings writer for Purple Insider. Boy, we're just lined up, and you know it. Craig Maddox in East River Meets West River, the weekly segment of fun. SDPB Sports, Sioux Falls. Craig Maddox. How are you, Craig? Good to have you.
Hey, I'm doing great, Nate. That's a great lineup. I know Matthew, and he's a great guy. Does a great job covering the Vikes, too. So
okay.
Look forward to hearing him.
I know you're a big Vikings fan, so I'll say this. Is this the last year of Kirk Cousins? Does it feel like the last hurrah for your boy Kirk?
Yes, if it doesn't happen before the draft or during the draft.
Okay. All right. Interesting. All right. I think
there's so much gobbledygook going on right now. You don't believe anything anybody says about the draft because everyone is blowing smoke. But there's talk out there that, could Kirk Cousins be traded? Could they trade up to try to get one of those college quarterbacks? There's a lot of smoke. A lot of smoke. I can't wait for the draft, though. A week from tomorrow.
Yeah, getting ready to go. Kansas City, I think, is going to be a great place for it. I mean, I'm a Broncos fan, so I'm going to give them credit. That's a passionate town and good fan base there. So I think it's going to be good. Okay, Craig Maddox on. Let's talk high school sports. So I've got something for you. We've discussed this a little bit, but I got a different perspective yesterday on the show on high school name, image, and likeness, and if it ever would come to South Dakota. So Steve Steele in Pierre said to me, I don't want it, okay? He's probably not the only coach, by the way. I know coaches are like, oh, man, high school kids are going to get sponsorship deals. It sounds bad, but I think it's simpler than it sounds in South Dakota. I really do, if you put the rules in place. But Steve said if we did that, he's worried you could have a great player, for example, and they get recruited by Sioux Falls, and then all of a sudden they're playing for a Sioux Falls school because a business over there says, well, I have a kid going to this school, and I want to make sure that Sioux Falls, Washington gets back up to speed. Whatever the example is. He says that's what he's worried about. Do you buy that?
Yeah, I do. I really do. I do. Well, hey, come on. There's some coin in the Black Hills. Why would an athlete want to go to the Black Hills?
What do I have to do? Can I create a Nate Brown Show sponsorship for him?
Well,
do I need to do that?
You probably could, but I think it's a mess. I agree with Coach Steele. I think it would be a mess. I mean, let's face it. When you look at this on the college ranks, you're dealing with schools that have money, that work with this, where high schools, I mean, I kind of was not surprised last week when the association kind of just dropped it, tabled it.
Yeah,
right
they did.
I'm not surprised. It is so new, and I think a lot of people just don't think it's right for high school kids. It just something feels different about trying to lure a kid to come play for a Sioux Falls school, and you come play with us, and we'll give you a new car. We'll give the whole offensive lineman. We'll get you rent free in your house. I just don't.
Free buffets at Pizza Ranch.
Well, now you're talking. Now you're talking.
By the way,
I joke, it opens up. I think it just opens up too much trouble, and I just.
So Lincoln Kienholz could have been the quarterback at Sioux Falls Roosevelt? Wow.
Yeah.
Is that what you're telling me? I asked Steve Steele that. I said, you telling me Sioux Falls might have been able to get Lincoln Kienholz, for example, a hypothetical? He said, well maybe.
See, in the old days, they would hire Lincoln's dad to be the assistant coach.
Now
and then
you're
bring
talking.
him along.
Now you're talking.
That's how they used to do it.
Well, here's the thing. Recruiting's going on, Craig. You know this anyway. That's what I wanted to point that out. Recruiting in high school sports is going on. It's happening in Sioux Falls all the time. So why is this different?
Well, I think it's happening more than just Sioux Falls. I think it's happening in a lot of...
Yes, here too, by the way, Rapid City.
Yep, I agree. And you know what? I have no problem with it whatsoever. Because... and I'm hoping, and call me naive, I'm hoping it's not just because of the athletic program, but I'm hoping it's the educational prospectus of coming to a school.
Wouldn't that be nice?
But it is happening. Yes,
it is. So here's my thing on it. Final one on it. Where I stand is, a high school kid can work at a company, at a restaurant, for 8 hours and get paid in the summer, but that high school athlete who's maybe won a state championship, has a great following on social media, they can't make a post about that restaurant because then they break the rules. So I can work there, but I can't do a marketing job for them. I don't like it. That's my big thing.
That's why there's so many gray areas with this, that I think it's going to be a while before this thing ever passes in the state.
Okay, let's go out to Sioux Falls. Craig Maddock on. I want to go out to your place out there. I saw this survey, and if people don't know what this is the Riverline District, Sioux Falls. So I would say this is like downtown, right? Riverline District, Sioux Falls.
Pretty much, yes. It is downtown.
Okay. Interesting survey results. They were asked, what do you want to see downtown? 54% want a sports stadium. 54% want a sports stadium down there. What does that say?
Well, they're going to have to be a lot more up to the point on that. I have said for years that a baseball stadium will not work in downtown Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls is not a baseball town. Sioux Falls has not supported the Sioux Falls Canaries. And even if they move it downtown, you're talking about a ballpark for 90 days. It is too expensive. The land is too expensive for a facility that is only used for baseball. Now, if it is a multi-use facility, what are they talking about? I really think this is not going to go. I think it's going to be more of business, shops, things like that eventually. But as far as making it a baseball field, people are kind of wacko on this. It's just not going to work in downtown Sioux Falls.
Boy, I don't know what the survey results, who they came from, but 54% of that Riverline District survey said sports stadium, 27% an indoor rec complex, 0.2% want housing. I'm going, maybe you should flip that around. Maybe a little more housing potentially.
It's going to be really tough to get investors to get on board with building a stadium in downtown Sioux Falls.
Okay. I'm with you on that. Last one for Craig Maddock, East River meets West River. I saw this number out at the Sanford Complex. So you have this new turf field complex,
Beautiful.
Craig.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Out there.
I'm going to come out there in May, and I'm looking forward to it. There's soccer, baseball, softball. This past weekend, they had 16 baseball and softball games at that complex. Is this going to be a big deal?
Yes, it is. It's going to be huge. It is a beautiful facility. It's set up well. You won't have to worry about too many rainouts if you have that. Because
or leaving, having to go to a different complex, or right?
Right. Yeah, it is. It is beautiful, and and that's the plan for Sanford. They want to make that facility where they get more than 1 million visitors to that complex every year. And with the soccer and the junior football they already have out there, they're doing a pretty good job of a great facility when it comes to the baseball and softball out there. You're going to love it. It's going to be good, really good.
I saw it going in, and now it's ready. A massive turf field complex out there, just off the interstate, essentially. There in Sioux Falls, Sanford Diamonds turf fields. They just had a big baseball, softball weekend. Craig Maddock tonight, SDPB Sports. How are we sitting on an in-play podcast?
Just got released today. My good friend Jim Dorman, who longtime educator and administrator. Here's a guy who went to school at Castlewood, and his first job out of South Dakota State, he's a teacher and the football coach at the Rivals over at Hamlin. How did that work out? And of course, eventually he went to Madison, Sioux Falls Lincoln. He's an administrator, does a fabulous job with it, and I know what. And let's all think about Jim too, because he's fighting pancreatic cancer as well. That interview just got released today. Go to SDPB Sports on Facebook or Twitter and hear the podcast. And I got a couple of great interviews coming up here in the month of April you're going to love as well.
Always good stuff. Great sports features on In Play with Craig Maddock. Find him on Twitter at Craig Maddock. Craig, always good, man. Thanks for the time.
All right, Nate. See you.
Have a good week. Craig Maddock tonight, our Wednesday edition, East River meets West River on the Nate Brown Show. We need it. Sioux Falls, Rapid City. Went through a few things there. So that complex is turf fields, soccer, softball, baseball out there in Sioux Falls. Brand new. And they just released their first week. And they had 16 baseball and softball games, high school and college. They're in their opening week at the turf complex. And so that's going to be one of those things. They go outdoor facilities because they said, we can put some stuff, we can do some things here. And it's maybe not going to get used for huge parts of the year, maybe. We'll see because of the cold. But I still got to point out, Rapid City, they're looking at their facilities right now. They're doing a facilities study. This Rapid City Sports Commission, okay, which I've been talking about on the show. What's the deal? Rapid City Sports Commission just starting up. They're looking at facilities, what we have, and where we should go. And there's still a thought that a massive indoor complex for youth sports would be an idea here. And from me looking at it from my perspective, I think that could be a smart play. because you get folks here during the shoulder season. We don't need them in, April, May, June, July, August, September. We need them in the winter. You need events indoor. So you're talking volleyball, basketball, wrestling, indoor soccer, cheer, an indoor facility that can house 8 basketball courts, okay, and more. I still believe that's where Rapid City could go. Sioux Falls is they just put in the new outdoor complex, this turf complex. I know we need outdoor stuff too. I mean, the list goes on, but the indoor complex in Rapid City, I think, would be a great start. Let's come back with Frank Schwab tonight, NFL writer for Yahoo Sports. Let's run through the NFL headlines and the draft 1 week away. Frank Schwab, Yahoo Sports, live next.
From high school to college to the pros, this is the Nate Brown Show on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM Fox Sports Rapid City.
The birds are singing. They know that spring is almost here, a time for renewal. Renewal by Andersen Windows, that is. It's almost spring, and if you've suffered through another winter in a cold, drafty house with worn-out old windows, now's the time to invest in the best windows you can get from Renewal by Andersen. Wouldn't it be great to let some fresh spring air in that house with windows that actually open smoothly, make your house quiet, secure, and save you a ton of money on energy bills? Please scan that QR code, visit RBARapidCity.com. Spring is a time for renewal by Andersen.
Street Rapid City.
Here's your Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Overcast skies tonight with lows around 30. Northwest winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected again tomorrow. Chance for snow showers. Daytime highs approaching 43. Chance for snow showers tomorrow night 26. Chance for snow Friday with highs in the low 40s. A blend of clouds and sun Saturday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently, it's 55.
First Gold continues to be Deadwood's most rewarding gaming destination. Every Friday through Sunday, win your share of $8,600 in promo play through hot seat drawings. Don't miss the Lucky 7 $7,000 giveaway on Saturday night, where we draw for $1,000 cash winners every hour from 5 till 11 p.m. And on Saturday, April 29th, it's Deadwood's biggest single-day giveaway, the $18,000 Golden Cash Blast. First Gold Gaming Resort. It's where Deadwood begins and the winning never ends.
Kelley Blue Book Instant Cash Offer from Denny Menholt Toyota. Use your phone. It's fast and easy. Pull up our website, click on Value Trade-In, scan your VIN, and tell us about your car. You are on your way to a no-hassle, no-commitment cash offer on your vehicle in under 5 minutes. Bring your vehicle and your Kelley Blue Book Instant Cash Offer to Denny Menholt Toyota and get cash or trade-in credit today. See you soon at Denny Menholt Toyota, Rapid City.
Great news. I just got the State Farm Personal Price Plan on our home and auto insurance.
You told our agent about my thing for romance novels?
No, you don't have to get that personal. Our agent just helped me choose affordable options to create a personalized price just for us.
Oh, sweet. Then you won't believe the love triangle Jen is in now.
Contact me, State Farm agent Scott Carlson, to create your personal price plan today.
Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
Hey, this is Rob Parker from The Odd Couple. Don't miss our show weeknights from 6 to 8 p.m. right here on Fox Sports Rapid City. And now we'll send you back to Rapid City Sports Talk Show, the Nate Brown.
Oh, good stuff. Thanks a lot, Rob Parker. I appreciate that. Hey, we had Doug Gottlieb kicking off the show tonight from Fox Sports Radio as well. Busy show tonight. South Dakota Sports Talk Show live on Fox Sports Rapid City. Frank Schwab, NFL, betting, yahoosports.com. He's on Twitter at Yahoo Schwab. And he's in tonight on the Nate Brown Show. Frank, always good to have you, man. How are you?
Hey, what's going on?
I'm doing good. Appreciate your time. I want to go to the draft here really quick, and then I'll get your read on some of this other stuff. So it's looking like Bryce Young, I mean, from the betting side and the whole thing, massive favorite to go number one. What do you think's happened here? It felt like it was kind of up in the air for a while. What do you think's happened with the Panthers and Bryce Young?
Well, I honestly think that it's just that the Panthers did a good job keeping the secret. I mean, look, you don't trade what they trade up to number 1 and not know exactly who you want. It's always been Bryce Young. And we just didn't know that. Everybody's reading tea leaves and saying, well, Frank Reich has worked with bigger quarterbacks, so he's not going to want a 5'10", 204-pound guy, so it must be C.J. Stroud, where look, you're never, ever going to convince me that the Carolina Panthers traded what they traded to the Bears and then said, okay, now who are we going to draft? They knew exactly they wanted Bryce Young. The market just caught up to that. The NFL draft betting market is really, honestly, very soft. But for those who like betting on sports, you can make some money on the NFL, NBA draft markets because the sports books don't know any more than us. They're reading tea leaves too, and trying to figure out from their sharp bettors who really is going to be number 1. And finally, the market figured out it's actually Bryce Young, and that's going to be the number 1 pick. And I'm all for it. I think, look, I get it. I get Bryce Young is smaller than literally any other quarterback that's been drafted since they've been charting these things, but he's a perfect prospect other than that in my mind. I mean, if he was 6'4", he'd be one of the top 10 prospects of all time, I think. I really do. I think he'd be in the Trevor Lawrence class. So I think it's right for the Panthers to say, yes, there's risk involved, but we're willing to embrace that risk to draft a guy who could be a serious difference maker in the NFL.
Do you think the rest of this thing next week goes, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen here as far as the other quarterbacks. Houston looks like they might go Will Anderson out of Alabama, and then you're talking C.J. Stroud. Where do you think Stroud fits in?
Yeah, I've been kind of shocked by that movement. I mean, now we're talking betting markets, and not that they know anything, as we just pointed out, but Will Anderson's a favorite at number 2 right now, and I just don't understand it. If you're at number 2 and you're Houston, you trade out of that spot if you don't want a quarterback, I think. I mean, I think somebody would trade up with you to try to get one of the guys, whoever they want. But sitting there and taking Will Anderson and basically punting your quarterback and telling your fans, hey, we're going to suck again, I don't know. And the one thing the one scenario nobody ever talks about, and I don't know why, we agree, me and you, Nate, I'm sure we agree, people listening there agree, quarterback in the NFL is the most important position in sports. By far. I don't even know what's second. Goalie in hockey? I don't know. Why is it so outrageous to think that the Texans could draft somebody number 2, and then if they have a chance to draft Caleb Williams next year and they think he's a once-in-a-lifetime prospect, you draft Caleb Williams as well and you trade C.J. Stroud? Why is that so outlandish in this NFL landscape where everybody agrees? Look at the pay scale. Everybody agrees. Quarterback is on a 10 times a higher tier than any other position in the NFL, any other position in sports. But yet you can't possibly draft somebody now and draft somebody next year too. Why? I mean, if you think, then you draft C.J. Stroud, you let him play a year. If you think Caleb Williams is a future 5-time MVP, you trade C.J. Stroud to somebody who needs him. I don't get why that's not discussed.
That's
I think that the Texans are just making a mistake passing on quarterback, to be honest. I think Stroud is a good prospect. I think Richardson has a crazy upside that you might want to gamble on. And why not gamble at that position? Pass rusher is important too, but there's going to be other pass rushers next year.
Frank Schwab on tonight, YahooSports.com, NFL writer. You make an interesting point, Frank, because I said this 5 years ago when my Broncos were up there, number 5. And I said, you have to take a quarterback. I was, of course, wanting Josh Allen and that whole thing, but they didn't, and they went Bradley Chubb. It reminds me of this. It's like, Bradley Chubb's the best player on the board. Will Anderson's going to be the best player on the board. At that high a value, I just don't know if you do that.
Right. And, I mean, it needs to be and I don't think Will Anderson's a Myles Garrett prospect. I think he's very good, but I don't think he's in that this guy can't miss. He's going to be a 15-sack guy without any question in the world, like Garrett was. Garrett was a perfect prospect, really, at defensive end, and he's become a heck of an NFL player. The only thing I will say is if you're the Texans, and you just, you really, truly dislike C.J. Stroud, you dislike Anthony Richardson, you don't even like Will Grier, yeah, okay. You don't want to marry into a relationship, because when you draft somebody in the top 10, it's a marriage. It's not dating. You are married for the next 5 years, and that ship is going to sink based on that quarterback. If you really feel strongly that these guys aren't it, okay, I guess I get it. But then trade down. I don't know. I just keep hearing this whole well, yeah, the Texans, to take Will Anderson and they can get Caleb Williams next year. We have no idea what's going to happen with Caleb Williams this year. We have no idea what's going to happen with the Houston Texans this year. What if they go 2-15, but the Arizona Cardinals go 1-16?
Right.
Sometimes you just can't control who you draft or where you're going to draft him. You can't think like that. You can't think, we'll draft Will Anderson now and Caleb Williams later. Not that that's what they're doing, but I hear that a lot, and I just think that's a fallacy. I really do.
Okay, let's jump out of the draft while we have him. Frank Schwab on tonight, NFL writer, YahooSports.com. So this week, Jalen Hurts gets the big deal. $179 million guaranteed is the number, and then you average it out over the 5 years. If he gets all the money in the deal, $51 million a year. That's the highest average annual value. So he gets less guaranteed than Kyler Murray, about $10 million less. I feel like that's a fair deal for the Eagles, or am I off?
No, I like it. I like it from both sides. I mean, look, Jalen Hurts, for the people out there, have said, I don't like this contract, and, I don't think he's worth that. Well, it's either pay or don't pay. I always hate this. Whenever these big contracts come up, there's people on social media or talking heads or whatever who kind of make it seem like, well, I would have only paid him $30 million a year.
Right.
That ain't the price. What do? You go to the grocery store and say, no, I know these bananas are $1.50 a pound, but I'm going to give you 75 cents. Well, they're going to tell you to kick rocks, right? And that's what Jalen Hurts would have done. There was no world in which he wasn't getting paid $51 million a year. You either play or you don't play. What are you going to do? And I think if the Eagles would have said, no, we're going to play the rookie contract deal because this takes up too much of our cap, we're just going to move on to the next rookie quarterback, that's perfectly logical. It is. I wouldn't have done
risky.
it, but
risky.
For these, it's risky. That's the whole thing. This guy finished second in the MVP. He's 24 years old, was the best player in the Super Bowl that we just watched. You're really going to move on from him? Because that's the thing. If you don't like the contract, okay, that's fine. But you also have to tell me that you're willing to let Jalen Hurts leave. And that's a tough ask for a guy who has improved every single year of his football life, going high school, Alabama, Oklahoma, Eagles. I mean, he is a guy who you don't have to worry about. He's going to be still the first guy in the building. He's kind of a model quarterback. And for any faults he has, he's obviously very productive. So I thought it was a great deal for the Eagles. Great deal for Hurts, too. He got paid a ton of money. I just thought that was smart. Okay,
so we all agree, Frank, that Joe Burrow's even better. I would say he's better. Now, Joe Burrow's going to be up here pretty quick. Bengals have not wanted to spend money over the years. They just want to be mediocre, but now he's changed the game. Now they're not mediocre. Joe Burrow, could he get Deshaun Watson guaranteed level?
I mean, it's really going to be an interesting test. Because I think we're seeing the owners, not to just drag Lamar Jackson's situation into this, we're seeing the owners push back, whether it's collusion or whatever you want to call it, on the Deshaun Watson contract and say, we're not doing this again. We're not doing this again. Well, if you're the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow comes to you and says, okay, I'm the second best quarterback in football. I have an argument to be 1B to Patrick Mahomes' 1A. I want $300 million fully guaranteed. The Bengals have to do it. They can't. What are they going to do? He is a blank check guy. There aren't very many blank check guys in sports. Joe Burrow to that franchise is a blank check guy. What do you want, Joe? Fill out the numbers and we'll get it done. There just has to be that. You wonder if Joe Burrow's going to ask for that? I don't know. We haven't gotten to that point yet where we've heard any of his first asks in contract stuff. But I think the Bengals have to do whatever they need to do to keep Joe Burrow. It's different, yeah, but Mike Brown has been criticized a lot for being cheap, but there's a big difference between paying Corey Dillon and paying the greatest quarterback you've ever had. I mean, no offense to Ken Anderson or Boomer Esiason or anything. This is the best quarterback you've ever had. It's your ticket to a Super Bowl championship. I think everybody knows that. And you got to keep him happy, and you got to pay whatever you got to pay. And you're just probably sweating it out and hoping that his agents don't come to the table and say, "Yeah, we want to reset the market. Whatever Jalen Hurts got, we want to double that." I mean, you're just praying it doesn't get to a ridiculous point, because one way or another, you got to pay that guy.
I wonder where it is going to go. Really, Frank Schwab on tonight. Follow him on Twitter at Yahoo Schwab. Find him there at YahooSports.com. His work up every day. Frank, always good. Thanks for hopping on.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
Appreciate your time. Frank Schwab, YahooSports.com, NFL writer on the betting side as well. Find him on Twitter at Yahoo Schwab. Follow him here on the Nate Brown Show on Fox Sports Rapid City. Good stuff. Intriguing stuff with these contracts. Jalen Hurts got the latest one, $179 million guaranteed. What's Joe Burrow going to get? What's Justin Herbert going to get with the Chargers? Two organizations that really over the years didn't pay a ton, right? I mean, they don't want to pay a ton. And you got Herbert and Burrow at the Chargers and Bengals. Where do they go? Okay, we go into the Drive at 5. Welcome in, South Dakota Sports Talk Show, the Nate Brown Show, with a question of the day coming up. And this story out of Hill City. Wow. Hill City High School sports. I got to talk about this because I think there's more context to this. I think there's more to the story that I want to discuss. But Hill City says, well, we're not going to do this new sport. Why not, and what does it mean? We'll discuss next.
This is South Dakota's Sports Talk Show, The Nate Brown Show, on FoxSportsRapidCity.com and live on 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
Whether you run the race, make the catch, cast a line, pitch a tent, or just look good doing it, Shields Rapid City has your gear. From athletic clothing from your favorite team, cold weather gear to keep you warm, to the best camping selection this side of the Black Hills, and the most stylish and functional women's outerwear and footwear. Shields has the widest selection of the best brands in the business. So when you're ready to get out, get in the game, or get going, get to Shields. Shields, we're right there with you at Rushmore Crossing in Rapid City.
I've been with Pioneer Bank around 11 years now, but I've used them for my business for the last 5 years. When I decided to be able to go into this business, I worked with Joni, who helped me get set up with banking for my business and just helping me figure out what I need to do to navigate being self-employed. Banking with Pioneer Bank makes me feel like that small town that I grew up in. They're just like family. They're there to help take care of you and to help you be successful. Pioneer Bank and Trust is local.
Pioneer Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
KIMM Rapid City and K294BT Rapid City, the Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM and 1150 AM, Fox Sports Rapid City.
As the chief buffet officer here at Pizza Ranch, I get all kinds of buffet questions. Here's one from Cole.
Is there a real cactus in your cactus bread?
Great question, Cole. No, there is no cactus in our cactus bread, just sweet cinnamony streusel. It's on our buffet every day, along with pizza, chicken, ice cream, and all your other favorites. Even better, at least for your parents, kids eat free on Tuesday nights. And don't worry, Cole, there's no coal in our coleslaw either.
Pizza Ranch with 2 Rapid City locations and PizzaRanch.com.
In the past, if you needed auto body repair, you had to get multiple estimates and then try to get your car into a shop for repair. Well, not anymore. In most cases, you can stop by one shop, get your estimate, and schedule your car for a repair. The question now becomes which shop you choose. If you like quality, choose J&J Truck and Auto Body. They have ASE, PPG, and Gold iCar certifications that allow them to offer you a nationwide warranty. And they'll work with your insurance company so you're pleased with the outcome. J&J Truck and Auto Body, 1513 East Philadelphia.
The doctors and staff at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center have provided expert bone, joint, and muscle care to patients in the Black Hills area since 1976. Whether you're an elite athlete, a weekend warrior, or just want to continue your active lifestyle, the orthopedic experts at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center will help you stay in the game. Don't let an injury keep you from doing the things you love. Trust the team at Black Hills Orthopedic and Spine Center, specializing in what moves you. Learn more at BHOSC.com.
Hi, this is Dan Patrick. Remember to catch me weekday mornings from 7 until 10 a.m. right here on 106.7 FM and 1150 a.m. Fox Sports Rapid City. And now, back to Rapid City's Sports Talk Show, The Nate Brown Show.
All right, welcome back in on a Wednesday, the Nate Brown Show. Glad you're here. Hope you've had a solid day. We're in the Drive at 5, brought to you by Summit Automotive Group. When it comes to the pre-owned selection, they have the best selection, okay? But on top of it, Carmine truly built around you from start to finish. The right financing, the right vehicle, the right treatment. The Summit difference. Try it out for yourself. SummitAutoGRP.com, where you can start on your phone. Take a look at the inventory right now. Pre-owned selection, they work hard there. Stacy and Matt get you the vehicles. The right selection, cars, trucks, SUVs. Stop by East Highway 44. SummitAutoGRP.com right there before you buy. The Drive at 5 of the Nate Brown Show with Gary Sharp coming up from Omaha. 1620 The Zone. We'll talk Huskers. The head coach there, Matt Rule, said something this week that people are kind of fired up about. We'll see here. We're blowing this out of proportion. Gary Sharp coming up from Omaha. Matthew Collar's on the way next from the Twin Cities. Vikings writer for PurpleInsider.com. He started his own site. Matthew Collar, longtime Vikings reporter, and he is on live tonight. Why? Are the Vikings really interested in doing this? Pro Football Talk, massive national website, said, yeah, the Vikings are one of the teams that might do this when it comes to over the next week or so. Okay, Matthew Collar coming up. We'll talk about the Vikings straight ahead. I want to go to this local story in Hill City, and it's really interesting to me. On the surface, it doesn't look like much, but I think there's a bigger conversation. And I think you look at high school sports over the past 10 years here in the state, schools have had to decide what to do. Should we add a sport? Is there interest with our athletes? Can we do this budget-wise, travel-wise? I mean, the whole thing. And so there's a lot of factors here for small schools like Hill City. There's small schools across the state that say, man, we can barely field a football team, okay? And so the story I'm talking about out of Hill City, they've been discussing, and it went to the school board this week, should we have soccer at Hill City? This would be essentially not our own team. Hill City would be able to co-op with Custer. So we've seen co-ops happen in football, and we've seen co-ops happen even in soccer right here. You got Douglas Rapid City Christian, for example, on the soccer side. Okay, Douglas Rapid City Christian co-op for soccer. You know, both those schools say, okay, we're going to have enough kids at both schools to do that, but maybe not enough at our own school to do it. And so Douglas said, yeah, Rapid City Christian, you guys can co-op with us for soccer. So Custer was going to do the same thing. Custer and Hill City co-op. Let's combine so we could offer soccer to the Hill City high school kids. Well, that was voted no at the board meeting. So Hill City's decided they've opted not to co-op for soccer. And so people can, say what you want is, okay, why is that? I think there's various reasons here, but one thing is a couple of the coaches said there's a lot of athletes here that are already in cross country, they're in football, and the cross country coach and football coach talked about it at the meeting the other night, and they said, here's a quote from the football coach. There are 30 kids currently going out for 2 sports. Okay, so he looks at it. Every time we add a program, it's going to strain the numbers of our student athletes. Eventually, with all the sports going on, you could have 5 or 6 sports going on at one point in time, and your numbers continue to decrease. It's going to be harder and harder to sustain high-quality programs. And so you could say, well, are we opposed to soccer? What do we... These coaches say essentially they're opposed to adding a new sport like that. And I find it interesting because the discussion is this. Who should be in charge, essentially, of having that momentum to add a sport like this? Okay? I look at it from a perspective, yes, is it going to be hard for the Hill City football team? Harder if soccer were added to the mix? Probably. But should that shut the door on it? And that's where the discussion enters a hard spot. I'll use an example here in town. This is one I know. St. Thomas More, smaller school, they offer soccer and football, right? So they got the soccer going on the boys' side and football. I know that the football program the numbers have gone down. You look over the past 5 years, the football numbers at St. Thomas More have gone down. Whether you want to say that, well, they went to play soccer, I don't know about that, but it could be one of those factors. My question is, for a discussion point, is that a bad thing or is it a good thing? You offer more sports. Kids can try, hey, maybe I'm not a great football player. Maybe I am a soccer player. I think there's an argument to be made there. Some people say, well, you can't do everything. I mean, these schools can't do everything. I get that. It's a hard one, okay? It's a hard one. But I'm telling you right now, if you have interest in a sport and there's enough kids that want to play it, it's hard for me to say, nah, we shouldn't do it. Just stick with this or stick with that. That's a hard one for me. Now, coaches of programs of the various sports at these schools are going to say, hey, I'm trying to do the best I can with the kids I have. Well, maybe I only have 20 players. Let's say at football. I don't know how many they have at Hill City. But, hey, I only got this many players. I can't afford to lose any, right? So if Hill City goes to Custer and they start playing soccer, how many football players am I going to lose? It's all a factor in there, but I also want to make sure we have the right thought and discussion of, should we add sports if there's legitimate interest? Who should be in charge of that discussion? Meaning, I know the board's ultimately the decider, and they decided no soccer for Hill City and Custer, okay? Hill City can't team up with Custer and do that. But I think we got to be careful of, well, we have the sports set. This is what's offered. End of story. I think it's always worth taking a look at saying, oh, how many kids are wanting to play soccer? Well, not enough to have our own program, but maybe enough to team up with Custer. Because I'm always like, you don't want to stop opportunities necessarily either, right? I mean, where do the Hill City kids get to go play soccer now? Essentially nowhere, I guess. I mean, I guess you could be, open enroll, and so now I got to go into Rapid City or something to play soccer? That's not a great thing either. So I always look at that and say, it's tough. Budgets, sport numbers, all that. It's not always right to add everything. I think you always got to be aware of it. Okay? Let's take a quick call on this. Thanks for calling. You're live today, and you go ahead.
Hi, Nate. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. What do you think?
Well, I happen to know the football coach at Hill City.
Okay.
And there were times last year due to injuries that they had a forfeit. I know they had a forfeit one game.
I know that.
Because they had too many injuries. So he definitely is not blowing smoke. I mean, he has a numbers issue, and to take more, some of those kids that are going to play football or are playing football, may want to play soccer because they don't like the contact possibly. Some of them have probably been persuaded by their buddies to come off of football when they may not have otherwise. And so if they have an opportunity to play another sport, he definitely has it, at least the football coach does. I don't know about other sports, but he definitely has an issue with numbers.
He does.
Up a little bit.
He does. The issue is what's the right call? And that's the issue, because if some kids go to play soccer, let's say they did this, would that football program die? Potentially, and that's not great either.
Oh yeah. I know they were one time 11-man, and I can't remember if they're down to 9-man or back to 11-man, but they were down to 9-man for a while.
Yep.
I think maybe the numbers went up a lot, so I think they did go back to 11-man a year or two ago. But they struggled to win games, even when they've been able to field a team. I think they've won maybe one or two games each of the last 4 or 5. Even longer than that, probably. So these are just numbers. I mean, the talent level wasn't there either. So if you dilute it even further with soccer or some other fall sport, in this case soccer, I think you definitely are putting that program, football program, in jeopardy.
Well, it's a tough one. It is a tough one. Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Okay,
thanks for getting in. I appreciate that. I mean, this is a tough one. I really believe that. I'm being honest. It's not an easy one. I think it's a tough one. The cross-country coach said, here's the quote, "I don't believe our student athletes at a school of our size can be split up and overworked." And so, I think what he's saying there is, hey, can I do cross-country at Hill City, and then I'm going to also try and play soccer in this co-op with Custer? That's a tough go. I just know that. But should you not offer it? That's why it's a tough one. They voted it down here this week. Hill City not going to have the soccer co-op with Custer. Thanks for calling. You're live today, and you go ahead.
Hey, Nate.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing? So
Good,
I normally with your last caller on a lot of the stuff he says, but people don't join soccer because there's no contact. That's completely false. If you've ever been on a soccer field, you'd understand that. But it's definitely less contact than football. But maybe those football players don't like contact, but maybe would like to, maybe get into a different sport that's more of a team sport.
Yeah, I mean, they're different sports. I mean, they really are. That's why I'm saying I don't know if it's a great call to not offer it. I get why it's tough. I do.
How long have they had the programs? And if they can't make it successful for football, maybe you should open it up to other options.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, they've struggled in football. I will say that. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for getting in. 720-1067 is our number. Interesting story. And I think the bigger picture conversation is, what is the right call when you're at small school districts? Okay? It's hard to add sports, but there is this option of co-oping with another program. Douglas Rapid City Christian do it for soccer, do it for wrestling. I think sometimes that is an okay answer, but they're not going to do that in football, okay? Or in soccer, I should say. They're not going to do that. I get a lot of texts coming in saying football, soccer. Now everybody's arguing. That's the way this one goes. Matthew Coller's on next. Let's go to this. Vikings on the clock, okay? A week out, 23rd pick for the Vikings. Would they think about doing something different and making a play for this quarterback? A big national report out today saying the Vikings are interested. Really? Matthew Coller's in from Minnesota. He's on the ground. Next.
You're listening to The Nate Brown Show.
The birds are singing. They know that spring is almost here, a time for renewal. Renewal by Anderson Windows, that is. It's almost spring, and if you've suffered through another winter in a cold, drafty house with worn-out old windows, now's the time to invest in the best windows you can get from Renewal by Anderson. Wouldn't it be great to let some fresh spring air in that house with windows that actually open smoothly, make your house quiet, secure, and save you a ton of money on energy bills? Please scan that QR code, visit RBARapidCity.com. Spring is a time for renewal by Anderson.
Fox Sports Rapid City forecast. Overcast skies tonight with lows around 30. Northwest winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Cloudy skies expected again tomorrow. Chance for snow showers. Daytime highs approaching 43. Chance for snow showers tomorrow night 26. Chance for snow Friday with highs in the low 40s. A blend of clouds and sun Saturday. That's your forecast on the Black Hills Sports Station, Fox Sports Rapid City. Currently, it's 54.
This isn't just the sound of a legendary Brunswick pool table. It's the sound of families about to make memories together. And while this may sound like the hum of a spa, listen closely, and you'll hear backyard fun for years to come. So while Splash City's guarantee of quality sure sounds good, we know quality time sounds even better.
Who wants another burger?
Splash City, 1024 West Omaha, across from Connects in Rapid City.
Head to Pumps Tire Service for huge savings on auto and light truck tires. Now through April 30th, get $70 instant savings on a set of 4 select Bridgestone tires. Get $60 instant savings on a set of 4 select Firestone tires. Increase your savings by $30 when you use your Pumps credit card. Plus, you can save an additional $20 off installation when you buy 4 select Bridgestone or Firestone tires. Hurry to Pumps. Offers end April 30th. Pumps. We know tires and service. You should know Pumps. Visit pumpstire.com. Subject to credit approval. See store for complete details.
Need somewhere to go for a quick bite to eat for lunch? Murphy's has you covered with a half sandwich and soup lunch special, plus daily specials to get you fueled up and ready for the rest of the day. Meet and eat for lunch at Murphy's, a Rapid City icon.
If you're in the market for a vehicle right now, you probably have noticed it's sometimes hard to find the right one. That's where Summit Automotive Group steps in. Stacy and Matt and their staff working hard to get a great selection of pre-owned vehicles at affordable prices. At Summit Automotive, they have a different outlook on selling you a vehicle. You'll experience stress-free shopping, friendly, honest service with no high-pressure sales gimmicks. Before you buy, drop by East Highway 44, SummitAutoGRP.com.
Live from the Anytime Auto Sales Service and Details Studio. Sales, service, and recreation. This is Fox Sports Rapid City.
Welcome back into the Drive at 5 on a Wednesday. I hope you've had a solid day. Thanks for tuning in, spending some time with us. South Dakota Sports Talk Show, local, regional, national, here on Fox Sports Rapid City, 4 to 6 weekdays. Hey, the Nate Brown Show podcast available online. You can download it if you missed Doug Gottlieb today. We talked hoops with Doug. He joined us live from L.A. Doug Gottlieb, Fox Sports Radio, live on the Nate Brown Show in the first hour. Craig Maddock from Sioux Falls shot around a lot of high school stuff with Craig tonight. So if you missed some of this, go to the Nate Brown Show podcast. This show will be up there tonight. You can download it where you find your podcasts. Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you get them. Or on Amazon. The Nate Brown Show podcast available. Matthew Collar on tonight from Minneapolis. PurpleInsider.com. Started his own site, longtime Vikings reporter. Find him on Twitter at Matthew Collar. PurpleInsider.com. Matthew, here we go. I appreciate you coming on. How are you?
I'm doing great. I think I'm probably like everybody else where I'm tired of draft rumors and mock drafts, and I am ready to actually draft.
A week away. Closer. Yeah, a week away, essentially, Kate, a little longer. I'm going to ask you about this national reporting and people throwing stuff out, and maybe it's just click stories. I don't know. I'm always careful with this stuff, but people, Pro Football Talk's in on this now. People were talking about it at the Combine. Are the Vikings interested in Trey Lance? What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's probably a lot of connecting of dots, right? Where, I mean, obviously San Francisco is not buying into Trey Lance as their future starter. Every time that they have talked this offseason, it's been about how they can't wait to get Brock Purdy back under center. And they seem to have fallen in love with him as their future quarterback. And if they're not sold on Trey Lance, who's barely played and is still younger than some of the guys that are coming out as quarterbacks in this year's draft, which is amazing to think about. It kind of adds up because once the Vikings restructured Kirk Cousins' contract rather than giving him a contract extension, I mean, all of a sudden kind of all lasers pointed toward, okay, what are the Vikings going to do next? They don't draft high enough to get a C.J. Stroud or to get an Anthony Richardson, more likely than not. So what are they going to do? And every option that comes up, I'm sure that they've been investigating as well because the Vikings realize Kirk Cousins is not going to be their long-term quarterback here. So you have to look into every option. So would it be surprising if the Vikings were talking to San Francisco at the Combine? Of course it wouldn't. I mean, they have a young quarterback with a big upside. The Vikings don't have a future quarterback after next season. The same thing goes for them looking into Hendon Hooker or looking into Will Levis. There's been reporting on that as well. It's like, yeah, those are the potential options, and they need to think about it. So I think that there is, some fire where there's smoke, but how serious that actually is, I think is pretty hard to tell.
Okay, let me ask you how serious the quarterback situation is. So people like saying, oh, maybe we could trade up and get C.J. Stroud somewhere. Well, I don't know. C.J. Stroud may be falling down the board. I don't know. Maybe we could wait till next year and get one of those guys. So I'll just say, though, Kirk Cousins feels like this is it. I think last year, the next year's the last year. So how serious is it for the Vikings, the quarterback question?
Yeah, I mean, I think at this moment they do have a lot of different ways that they could approach this. And, even Kwesi Dafomenta, when he talked to us last week, I mean, he said basically, like, we've got a plan A, B, C, D, E, F, because they have to. You mentioned C.J. Stroud. I don't think that C.J. Stroud is going to go flying down the draft board or anything, but maybe he does. We've seen that before where we've been surprised. The mock drafts turned out to be inaccurate, shockingly, right? And so maybe there is an option there. I don't see how the Vikings could trade up to all the way at the top to get a C.J. Stroud or Anthony Richardson, but if one of them falls, that becomes interesting. I'm sure that they've talked about that. Do they want to go in on somebody like Hendon Hooker, who does have some serious concerns there about his age and about his ACL injury and how fast he can develop? But also, they might be in a better position to draft a quarterback next year. I mean, this is a roster in transition. If you look at them right now, try to make an argument to me that this is a better team this year right now than it was last year, because it's not. I mean, they've lost some really key pieces to this team and haven't really replaced them. So, also Detroit is better. Probably Chicago is quite a bit better than they were last year. You're not winning 13 games. You're very likely to draft higher than they are this year. So, you could be in better position to draft somebody next year. They would have more draft capital to move up. We also don't know what other quarterback might end up as a free agent, right? You kind of go around the league, and we think a lot of teams are set at quarterback, but did we expect Matt Stafford to get traded once upon a time, or Tom Brady to leave New England once upon a time? You never really know. Or even Russell Wilson, that came as a pretty big shock when he was traded. So I think trying to predict this is very hard. Trey Lance definitely has to be in this conversation because of his physical tools and his age and the potential for developing him. But I think that there's about 5, 6, 7 different ways they could go.
How much do you think the Minnesota Vikings fan is biased towards Trey Lance? Minnesota kid, North Dakota State, the whole thing.
Yeah, I think that it's not just that he's from Minnesota. Of course, people do love that. There's no question that they do. I mean, they just, they lost Adam Thielen, so you have to replace another Minnesota native. But I think it's more the intrigue with someone who's mobile. Because how many times have you and I on this show talked about the limitations of Kirk Cousins? And that's why Kirk Cousins gets debated all the time, because he's very accurate and very smart quarterback, but there's just limitations that cost the Vikings over the years in a lot of big games. He can't escape the pocket. He can't run. I mean, Daniel Jones last year had more first down runs than Dalvin Cook did. How crazy is that? Like, being mobile is a huge advantage when it comes to, winning games in the NFL these days, the way the defenses are set up, the amount that they attack and blitz. A lot of times you have to have that extra element. And there's the arm strength thing, too. I don't think at this point in his career, Kirk Cousins has a very strong arm. Trey Lance has a monster arm. Now, can you refine that would be the question. So I don't think that it's really about him being from Minnesota. That's nice. But I think it's more about imagining somebody who has this kind of mobility, this kind of arm strength. Those are all the things that have been missing with Kirk Cousins over the last 5 years.
Matthew Coller on tonight talking Vikings. What's next for the future here? Everybody talking now, Trey Lance, Kirk Cousins, that whole thing. What about big money that could be spent here? Vikings talking about Justin Jefferson, and what do we expect?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because Kwesi Adofo-Mensah told me, I asked him at the Combine about whether Jefferson's opinions of this roster and where the franchise are at, like whether that makes a difference. And he said that it's almost like a quarterback where you are looping in Justin Jefferson into your decision-making process. And I think that shows you just how desperate they are to make sure they get him under a long-term contract. But if you're Justin Jefferson and you don't know if it's going to be Trey Lance and you don't know if it's going to be Hendon Hooker or whatever, are you signing that extension right this minute? Probably not. And as a first-round pick, he's got a good amount of money. Now, they can fight tooth and nail with franchise tag and everything else. We're seeing that with Lamar Jackson. But, I mean, you don't want to be in a position where this is Randy Moss all over again, or it's Kevin Garnett all over again, where you have this mega star, best player in the league at his position, and he ends up being unhappy and wanting to go. So I think that they're going to move heaven and earth to try to get him to sign an extension, but just because he's eligible to do it doesn't mean he has to do it. So he can sit here and wait and kind of see where the franchise stands before he decides whether he's going to go all in and stay with Minnesota or not.
That's interesting. In January, the Vikings said, we're going to have off-season talks on a contract with Justin Jefferson. Well, it's the off-season, and we'll see where that goes. Matthew Coller tonight, purpleinsider.com for the best Vikings coverage, his own site, on Twitter at Matthew Coller. Matthew, always great to have you. Thanks for the time.
Sure thing. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Matthew Coller, purpleinsider.com. That's the site. Vikings fans, hit it, enjoy it. Good stuff. Longtime reporter on the Vikings, Matthew Coller, on the Nate Brown Show. Trey Lance in the discussion. The Vikings and 49ers have had discussions about Trey Lance. Pro Football Talk saying this, others saying this now. Trey Lance, should you go down that road? I myself think that's a legitimate thing. Why not? He was the number 3 pick for the 49ers. Do we trust Shanahan and the 49ers there? Probably. John Lynch, Shanahan, the 49ers, their evaluation, the whole thing. I mean, they went up to get him high. Okay? They're like, we got to get Trey Lance. And so you can't just go, I'm not so sure on that. he's only played a little bit. He played through week 2 last year. Played through week 2. We don't know there. So I think that's a smart play because some of these rookie guys you don't know, and maybe you say, well, we don't know about Trey. I'm going to go from the pre-evaluation from the 49ers and what they did to get him. They were all in there. Now they're saying, oh, now Brock Purdy's the guy. Well, it's because he went 7-1, whatever the number was, okay? I mean, that changes the 49ers' perspective. They weren't expecting that from Brock Purdy. Trey Lance was the starter, if we all remember, right? And then Brock Purdy just went off. Caught lightning in a bottle. So if I'm the Vikes, I think that's legitimate. I would have a lot of interest there in trying to get a deal with Trey Lance and solidify some of this stuff and bring him in. Let Kirk Cousins go right now, meaning play. Let him play. Trey Lance is there. Bring him into the Kevin O'Connell system, and let's get going. I like that. Coming right back with Gary Sharp from Nebraska. Huskers head coach Matt Rule said something this week that people are saying, what's he talking about? He better get with it. I don't know if it's a fair criticism. 1620 The Zone in Omaha. Gary Sharp live next.
You're listening to The Nate Brown Show. Follow us and watch the show live on Twitter at Nate Brown Show.
First Gold continues to be Deadwood's most rewarding gaming destination. Every Friday through Sunday, win your share of $8,600 in promo play through hot seat drawings. Don't miss the Lucky $7,000 giveaway on Saturday night, where we draw for $1,000 cash winners every hour from 5 till 11 p.m. And on Saturday, April 29th, it's Deadwood's biggest single-day giveaway, the $18,000 Golden Cash Blast. First Gold Gaming Resort. It's where Deadwood begins and the winning never ends.
Did you know Highmark Credit Union was started as Rapid City Teachers Federal Credit Union over 80 years ago in what was known as Rapid City High School? We're proud of our legacy in education and affordable solutions for our community. Today, Highmark provides a full range of consumer products and commercial lending services to thousands of area members in western South Dakota. Consider joining Highmark. We'll make it happen. HighmarkFCU.com.
I'm with Brian at Anytime Auto Sales, Service and Detail. Pretty much every season has its unique needs for car repairs and maintenance, does it not?
So true. The AC charge is now the coolant flush, and the Get My Brakes and Tires Ready for Winter Rush is here. We still offer mobile synthetic blend oil changes for only $34.99 to lifetime brakes for just $329 an axle for most vehicles. Now that's pads, rotors, labor, and of course the lifetime guarantee.
People need to jump on that.
You know, they really do, as these deals will not last forever. See AnytimeAnytime.com for an entire page of money-saving service and detail coupons.
I think most people think the days of the friendly neighborhood mechanic were long gone.
Well, here at Anytime Auto Sales, Service and Detail, we want to change that. We're here to be your trusted neighborhood automotive caretaker.
Come see Anytime Auto Sales, Service and Detail, folks. The place to trust. Your AAA and ASC certified service center. See AnytimeAnytime.com, and as always, at the corner of Highway 79 and East Minnesota.
Anytime Auto Sales. Live from the Anytime Auto Sales Service and Detail Studio. Sales, service, and recreation. This is Fox Sports Rapid City.
All right, welcome in. The Drive at 5 on a Wednesday. Packed show tonight. Great guests across the board. The Nate Brown Show, South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Always glad you're here. Thanks for being a part of it. The Black Hills Sports Station, 106.7 FM, 1150 AM, FoxSportsRapidCity.com. Live stream us there. Hey, he's on 1620 The Zone, Omaha. You better know Gary Sharp is on in Omaha. Find him on Twitter at Gary Sharp 1620. And he's here on the Nate Brown Show. Played a little golf today. I mean, hey, he's got an easy life. Easy life. Gary, good to have you on, man. How are you?
Hey, good, Nate. Thanks for always having me on. Yeah, I got to play golf today because, as you know, living in this part of the country, the weather's going to change pretty quick, and it's going to be rainy, and it's going to go from being in the 80s to the high 40s.
Yeah, so you got to take advantage. I know that. All right, putting in the work. I got it. Let me go to this Husker storyline. I don't know if it's fair, so I'll ask you. Matt Rule and the Huskers. Spring football, the whole thing. And here's what Matt Rule said to 24/7 Sports. He said, I hear the other schools say they can't wait for the transfer portal. They can't wait to go out there. Well, I can't wait to coach my guys. Let me tell you that. I'm not here. I'm not thinking about anybody else but this team here. So that means, what do you mean? What's he trying to say?
Yeah. Well, that's when you're playing that particular team and that fan base on September 9th, people think that was a shot at Deion. Now, I will tell you that there was about a couple of months ago, he did an interview, and he was praising Deion. And he just talked about how schools go about different ways of constructing their roster, whether it be through recruiting. But he also acknowledged everybody these days have to embrace the portal and the NIL and how you build your roster. He would just prefer to the guys that he has now. He didn't run guys off when he took over the job, and he wants to coach the guys here. And then I think you'll see, probably I would be aware that Sunday and Monday around Nebraska football, there'll be some guys that get into the portal. But I know everybody thought it was a shot at Deion, and I think it was a shot about how you go about constructing your roster. And you know what? Deion's way of doing it, that may work out, and people may copy it. I just think Matt Rule likes that he came in, he didn't run guys off, and he let guys kind of on their own see if they're right for this program.
Okay, interesting. Some people could say, Gary, is Matt Rule doing enough transfer portal stuff? I mean, you got to get with it.
Well, I think so here's the thing. It's kind of tricky, and that's a fair question. He really likes what they have. I think he made the comment the other day, Nate, that he thinks they're further ahead. Like, he has cast his vision, and I think he's got into the talent, and he sees some guys that have not really been able to do anything under Scott Frost and Mickey Joseph, and he has found the way to unlock those guys, whether it be with strength and conditioning, their bodies are different, or what they're putting them in place to do. He went portaling. The starting quarterback in Nebraska is going to be from Georgia Tech and Jeff Sims. Aric Gilbert, who has been at Georgia and LSU, is going to be one of their top players. Billy Kemp is going to be the number one wide receiver. He's from Virginia. They're going to have a couple of guys on the defensive side of the ball that were at Georgia and Florida. So I think he's done enough. I think they are very selective on who they're going for in the portal, that when they get a guy here out of the portal, they want them to make an impact. And, their starting center is going to be from Arizona State. So I think they've done enough. But at the end of the day, for Nebraska to be successful, they've got to be good recruiting high school players and developing those guys and turning those guys into NFL players, because there's a bad stat out there with the NFL draft coming up. Nebraska is one of the, if not the poorest school over the last 10 years in turning 4-star recruits into NFL draft picks.
Gary Sharp on tonight, 1620 The Zone, Omaha, talking Husker football. There was a deep dive on the Husker program done by CBS Sports, Dennis Dodd, and I thought it was interesting. I read the whole thing. One thing that jumped out, I was interested in the walk-on thing. A proud tradition there, a long history of the walk-on kids. Matt Rule basically said, I'm not going to turn guys away. If they want to come here and play football, I'm going to have guys here. What do you think?
Well, it's, so Scott loved a big roster, and they had about 150 players. And Nate, I went to practice last year. There were a lot of guys standing around. They just couldn't get enough reps for everybody that was in the program. So slowly, Scott started to whittle down the roster, and they got to about 130, and right now they're at about 120. They have 98 scholarship players. They got to get to 85 by the start of camp. He's always going to embrace the walk-on program, and I think, he wants to make it where you'll turn down a North Dakota State or a South Dakota State, and you'll come to Nebraska as a walk-on to get a scholarship. I will tell you, they have a walk-on, and keep this name in mind for the fall. His name is John Bullock. He went to Omaha Creighton Prep. He was a walk-on. They said, hey, if you can reach these measurables, we'll give you a scholarship. He said, I'm coming anyhow. He's going to be put on scholarship after this spring. So when you have a sign like that, it's other walk-ons that look like a John Bullock, who is 6'1", about 195, that is just a football player. He's got great football IQ. They go, man, I can be that guy. So I think that's what Rule is looking for. But I know the days of Nebraska having these bloated rosters and having 40 to 50 walk-ons, those days are over. But they still will have a good 25 to 30, but 25 to 30 guys that have a potential to contribute on a Saturday.
Okay, how's he going to get from 98 to 85 scholarship guys? How does that work?
Well, you've got a loophole with first-year coaches that they can kind of send guys towards retirement. where they can stay in school and they can still get their degree, but they're not on football scholarship. I think the way he has done it, and people are wondering, because the portal opened up last Saturday, Nebraska's spring game is this Saturday, so it's kind of awkward timing. How come more players are not in the portal? I think a lot of it has to do with respect out of Matt Rule. They're not going to steal the thunder of the spring game. They're not going to create a lot of drama. That Matt Rule has really established a great connection with players in this program that were searching for that. They just wanted to be led and wanted to be coached. That I think you already know if you're not going to be part of the 85, if you're going to play. And he's not running guys off, but I think it becomes pretty clear if guys are going to be able to play or not. And that's what he's banking on. The guys will look at it and they'll go, you know what, I'm just not going to be able to play. I want to go somewhere else. And he'll help them go somewhere else. So I have no fear that they will get down to 85. They actually might be a couple of scholarship guys below that.
This is Gary Sharp on tonight, talking Husker football spring game coming up. Find him on Twitter at Gary Sharp 1620. He's on 1620 The Zone in Omaha. Last one. I don't know how this will impact Nebraska, but NCAA made a new rule this week, and, well, they voted on it. It's going to go into place July 1st. Unlimited official visits. So universities, they're limited with 56 for a program. But the kids can go one time to, I guess, anywhere. So I look at it, I don't love that. I feel like we got to narrow down a list. It's got to be hard to determine. It almost feels like the transfer portal before we even sign. It feels like the official visit transfer portal.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe that, Nate. And, you know, the big Power 5 schools, just be prepared. You're going to get a lot of visitors. I think what you're also seeing in recruiting is the recruiting calendar is moved way up. Like Nebraska has a good list at the spring game this weekend, but they had a big day at the end of March with Junior Day. People used to say, hey, just at Nebraska, get them to a game in the fall. Get them to a game, and they'll say yes because you got 90,000 people, and they'll see what game day is like. Well, that's not necessarily the case. It's still a benefit once you get a guy on campus at a place like Nebraska. But the recruiting calendar has moved up that March and April have become so important now in recruiting that kids want to get in earlier. So I'll see how this all is adjusted when you factor in the portal as well. It's a crazy time. It's the wild, wild west. But that's a reason why places like Nebraska and other football power programs that have the resources, they have these huge off-the-field staffs. Nebraska's never had a large of a support staff as Matt Rule has. I mean, they're well over 40, nearing 50 support members, and a lot of them are in the recruiting world to help them sift through all of this stuff.
Official visits limited to 5. Now it's unlimited. So a guy like Dylan Raiola, if he wanted to, with a new rule, he could have gone anywhere. Every school could say, hey, he could have gone to San Diego. I'm going to take a trip to here to there. I don't know if kids will do that, but I think it could happen. I think it puts a little pressure on the staffs to go, okay, who's really interested in coming to Nebraska, for example?
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of kids all of a sudden want to go visit Hawaii.
There you go. Hawaii's going to go, man, we got a lot of visitors. I love it. Gary Sharp on tonight. Gary, good to have you, man. I always appreciate the time.
Hey, thanks, Nate, for the conversation.
I appreciate your time. 1620 The Zone. Gary Sharp, he's on the air in Omaha every day. On Twitter at Gary Sharp 1620. And here on the Nate Brown Show tonight. Who's hot and who's not on a Wednesday? Brought to you by the Pizza Ranch. This city is getting set to build a new $1 billion indoor arena. $1 billion. The story out today, what team they might want to bring in because of this $1 billion arena. I'll get to that. And also this. A basketball player, a leading scorer at Wyoming. He's playing for the Pokes. He goes to the transfer portal. And now something's happened. Next.
This is the Nate Brown Show.
Before you buy, shop Gateway Autoplex. Are you looking to trade your vehicle and get ready for winter? Well, stop into the nicest pre-owned inventory of Fords, Lincolns, Dodges, Chevys, and save thousands. Hey, and Gateway's looking for some more inventory, so if you want to sell your car, truck, or SUV, stop on down for an offer today.
So for the best car buying experience in Rapid City or the best credit rebuilder program, stop down to 410 North Campbell Street or 123 Omaha. I'm Scott Hanna.
And I'm Adam Ray.
And nobody
beats a Gateway deal.
As the chief buffet officer here at Pizza Ranch, I get all kinds of buffet questions. Here's one from Cole.
Is there a real cactus in your cactus bread?
Great question, Cole. No, there is no cactus in our cactus spread, just sweet cinnamony streusel. It's on our buffet every day, along with pizza, chicken, ice cream, and all your other favorites. Even better, at least for your parents, kids eat free on Tuesday nights. And don't worry, Cole, there's no coal in our coleslaw either.
Pizza Ranch with 2 Rapid City locations and PizzaRanch.com.
Live from the Anytime Auto Sales Service and Details Studio. Sales, service, and recreation. This is Fox Sports Rapid City.
All right. Good stuff tonight. Thanks for listening to the Nate Brown Show, South Dakota Sports Talk Show. Ready to roll tomorrow. We have David Herbster lined up, Athletic Director, South Dakota for the Coyotes. Going to talk some college sports and a lot of topics with David Herbster, all right? NIL and everything in between with the USD Athletic Director. That's tomorrow. Tonight, Who's Hot and Who's Not, brought to you by the Pizza Ranch. Tonight, you can order up online, PizzaRanch.com. Get carry-out delivery. Great specials online. Remember, buffet open at Pizza Ranch, 2 locations in Rapid City. The best buffet in town, buffet your way. Buffet open till 8 tonight at the Pizza Ranch and the Fun Zone Arcade. Bigger and better, Rapid City Pizza Ranch South. Who's hot and who's not on the Nate Brown Show? Let's go with who's hot. There's a $1 billion arena that's getting ready to be built. It's part of a $2 billion project. Shops, restaurants, business, hotel, residential spaces. And a $1 billion, 18,000-seat arena. It's getting ready to be built in Atlanta. And so you're talking about a developer here, and it's now fueling rumors today. What could this $1 billion arena? Well, of course, entertainment and a number of sports events. But people saying, one of the developers saying, we're hoping to make this the entertainment hub of North Georgia. And if the NHL decides they want to expand, we'd love to talk to them about that. Speculation growing, the NHL could return to Atlanta. They haven't said they're going to expand lately, but a $1 billion arena, sports, entertainment going up in Atlanta. Could that be an NHL piece? Okay, in my Pizza Ranch Who's Not category tonight, well, I never liked seeing this, but here's the story. Noah Reynolds was a great player for the Wyoming Cowboys. Young guy. Came into the Wyoming Cowboys men's basketball program, just lit it up. I mean, Noah Reynolds had a big-time season. Had some injuries that kind of slowed him down, but he was big-time. Noah Reynolds at Wyoming men's basketball decides, well, I had a good season here. I got hurt, but I had a great season. I'm going to transfer. He goes to the transfer portal a few weeks ago, gets his offer. He's going to go play in the Big Ten for the Wisconsin Badgers. So Noah Reynolds said, I'm going from Wyoming. I'm going to go to Wisconsin. Noah Reynolds just announced today he's done at Wisconsin. He's out and opening up his recruitment again in the portal. Come back to Wyoming. We got a spot for you. The seat's still warm. Coming back tomorrow on the Nate Brown Show at 4. Thanks for listening. The Nate Brown Show podcast. Great show tonight, and it's going up right now.
Sports writers share a radio show.